It's the Sheriff Podcast, baby. Yeah. It's the Sheriff, AHL Man of the Year. 500 pro fights in his career. Got the record for most ice fights in a season. You fought the Sheriff, lucky you're still breathing. It's the Sheriff, AHL Man of the Year. 500 pro fights in his career. Got the record for most ice fights in a season. You fought the Sheriff, lucky you still. We filmed the pod today. You listening tomorrow. The heavyweight champ, yeah, Sean McMahon. 13-year pro, yeah, he holding it down. Big man playing it right, thumbs up to the crowd. Let's go. Rookie season suited up, most tilts in the A, man. Sheriff badge on the bucket, heavy can play, man. Podcast trending, thanks for rocking with us, bro. Lived out his dream, yeah, he played in the show. Danny Grange managing, helping us gain shot.
Welcome everybody to an exclusive edition of The Sheriff. Boy, oh boy, would Don Cherry be proud, and do I ever have a treat for you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to invite everybody right now to do a short exercise with me, which is called Build a Player. I'm going to invite you to close your eyes, and we're going to imagine the ideal hockey player that we would like to build. So first off, size and speed. We gotta have size and speed. That's one of the most important things in hockey. Scoring ability, that's a given. We're gonna give ourselves the ability to maybe get about a hat trick every single game. Setting up our teammates, just as important as the first 2 points. But guys, now it gets a little exciting. Body checking. We gotta make sure that we're able not only to body check our opponents, but literally put our opponents right through the boards, as us hockey people say. What's even more exciting is the fighting. We got to be able to fight. Even though we're a first-line center, we have to have the ability to be able to not only take on, but defeat the top heavyweights in the league. Leadership is another big part. Let's put ourselves as the best, one of the best leaders in hockey history. Let's make ourselves a captain as well. So now, ladies and gentlemen, if you did close your eyes, please open them up, because I have that hockey player in the building right now. And I'm going to introduce him right now. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls all over the world, I would like to introduce to you my guest tonight. He hails from London, Ontario. At 6'4", 240 pounds, he is a heavyweight. He participated 2 different times in the Quebec International Pee Wee Tournament with the Toronto Marlies and Toronto Young Nats. He was the first overall pick in the OHL in 1989. He represented Canada 3 times in the World Juniors, winning gold medals in 1990 and 1991. He won an Olympic silver medal in 1992 and a gold medal for Canada in 2002. He was drafted first overall in the 1991 NHL entry draft. He won the Hart Trophy as the NHL's MVP and the Lester B. Pearson Award as the most outstanding player in the 94-95 season. He was selected 7 times to the NHL All-Star Game, ladies and gentlemen. The centerman of the Legion of Doom. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, the Big E, Mr. Eric Lindros. Welcome to the show. I have to admit, Eric, that was probably the longest intro I've ever done.
Well, and maybe a little inaccurate, that the hat trick a game and fighting heavyweights. But the rest, that was awesome. A lot of energy over here.
Thank you. The point I was trying to make with that, Eric, is like, I was a big fan of you growing up. Like, I know my brother Liam, you were by far his favorite player. You were always one of my favorites as well. And the reason is because if I literally could create a player, you would probably be the closest thing to that. Because everybody needs size, everybody needs speed, everybody wants to score, and you did it all, man. So that was kind of the point that I was trying to make, but I enjoy you I appreciate how humble you're being right now, though. For sure. So Eric, I'm tapping the table. Part of the thing that I like to do with my show is I really like to go to the beginning.
Okay.
I like to kind of get the viewers and audience to understand what type of person my guest is and kind of where they come from. So I'd like to get into family and the beginning. So London, Ontario, buddy, we're going to get to it right away.
Let's do it.
A big thing I want to talk about is your parents, first off, is Carl and Bonnie. Now,
Yep.
one thing that our moms have in common is they're both registered nurses.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
I kind of want you to talk about that because I know my mom, she was like a bigger influence than the trainers on my hockey teams. When I would get injured, when I'd be sick, I'd always go to her before them. Was that the same experience for you?
It was pretty similar, and my mom had really close ties with many of the doctors in town, Dr. Fowler in particular. So, it was. She understood what was happening when we had some unfortunate situations, and everyone goes through that, right? Everyone gets injured from time to time, and you just hope to get back and back in play as quickly and as prudent as possible.
Right on. I appreciate you sharing that. So now, one thing that I found incredibly interesting is your father, man. He's a football player.
Yeah.
Played for Western, drafted by the Eskimos, 30th overall, man.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this a little
They
bit.
told him he wasn't going to go, so he was still taking 30th. No, my dad, fantastic athlete. Both my parents are from Chatham, Ontario.
Okay.
And
shout out to Chatham, Ontario, for sure.
Basketball. My parents played all the sports, and they encouraged us as kids to. I've got a brother and sister, and we were encouraged to play as many sports as possible. And my dad was always there, always there.
Now, is your pops? Is he big like you?
He's big.
So he's a big man.
He is. Yes, he is.
He's a big man.
Yes.
Your brother, Brett. You guys are almost the same size, correct?
Fairly similar.
Is he a little bit bigger though?
The other way.
Oh, the other way.
Yeah.
Right on. No, I hear you. So the point I'm trying to make is I have two younger brothers.
Right.
I find that because both my younger brothers were so athletic, so competitive,
Yep.
there's always an automatic sibling rivalry. So I believe that for those of us that have the opportunity to have a competitive sibling,
Yep.
it's an advantage for us. It gives us an edge growing up because we would have almost like a personal trainer every day of our lives. Did you ever look at it like that?
Well, Brett's about 3 years younger, and we were in different. It was a little bit different because of the age difference. So here and there was some interaction, but no, mostly I was out with my buddies and my dad, and even my mom got involved and would pop on the ice from time to time. It was it was fun. It was a great time. We always had a backyard rink. I think that's where I always had a backyard rink. We moved to Toronto. My dad was transferred here when I was, near the end of grade 4. So I think grade 5 and 6 I went to John Ross, and then I went to Glenview. But we moved to Toronto, and we had a rink right away.
So this is actually, I'm actually glad that you just brought that up because it's right on the timeline that I'm about to say.
Okay.
The transition to Toronto.
Yeah.
Now my first question, Eric, was your family move based on Eric's hockey?
No, my dad was transferred. My dad was he was a partner at what's now KPMG, and the title was high tech, and he was in charge of high tech. I mean, between you and I, he couldn't set the clock in the VCR, but he was in charge of high tech, and we moved on because of my dad's job, and we got to Toronto.
Yep.
And everything was a lot different, right? Like in London, you could get to a rink in 7 to 10, maybe a long one, 15 minutes, and it depended if the train came by, right?
Yes.
And Toronto, you got a lot of rinks that you're traveling, 30. And today with my kids playing, where you're in the car, it's 45 to an hour every time you step in the car. So having anything local is difficult. But in London, it was great. Everything was quick and easy, and it wasn't bad here. Like when we moved to Toronto, my parents, we kind of knew what organization we were going to go to or where I was going to play, and then they circled. They pulled out a map and they said, "All right, North Toronto Arena's here, St. Mike's Arena's here, De La Salle Arena's here, Chesswood's here. That's close to the Allen, and then picked a house kind of in the middle of that." So. It was a little bit different at the start for my mom, with the travel, but it all worked out, and we had a great spot. The parents are still in that same house on Glencairn, and
really?
No, nothing's changed. The backyard's still the same kind of, so it's good.
Wow.
So
So do you ever have times where you'd be with a couple of your buddies and you'd be like, you know what? Let's go to mom and dad's on the ice right now and settle this on the outdoor rink.
Sorry, and
is the rink still around?
The rink. My dad hasn't made the rink since my brother was went to junior. But no, the tradition continues. We got a little rink in our backyard now, and my kids go out and skate as much as they want and have some fun with that. It's not as nice as my dad's, but it is what it is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I appreciate you sharing that. I wanted to bring up the point of, obviously now you having kids in hockey. You were at an age when hockey first started getting serious. Your family just happened to move to Toronto, right? What's your view on families that have a kid that is an elite talent, that has an opportunity to do something special, with the experience of you doing that, but it wasn't for the reason of hockey, but you got to come to where the hockey's a little bit more serious, more competitive?
I think hockey's serious and competitive all over the place. Okay. I think South Simcoe has got a wonderful program. I think Quinty's got a real kick-butt program. Ottawa, I watched the Silver 17 play.
Yeah.
U11. I mean, they're fantastic. There's hockey everywhere that's outstanding, and you get to London, Ontario. I'm sure they got some great ones. It's you get to the top, and there's one or two teams in some of these communities. It's not like it's it's not like you're it's not diluted.
I appreciate that for sure. So I wanted to move along to a topic that I actually find pretty fun. Whenever I find out a guest has played in the Pee Wee Quebec International Tournament.
Oh yeah, I love that tournament. That was great.
Whenever I find out that I've had a guest that have played in that tournament, I always got to bring it up, man. Yeah. So now listen, man. I'm doing research. I'm seeing these two tournaments that Mr. Eric Lindros played in, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, so the age is 13. This guy went in 85 and in 87. So that means that he must have went to Quebec as an 11-year-old. The first time.
I went as a year up, yeah.
But you went at 11 years old playing in that tournament, and then you went back as a 13-year-old, correct?
Yes, but they also, if you recall, I think they changed the age, so they pulled back, so you stayed in Pee Wee for an extra year.
Okay.
So that there was a change in the, I think through Hockey Canada or whatever, that they just changed. Kids were... It was happening too quick, so they slowed it down.
But you did go a year underage, though, to Pee Wee, to the tournament.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's get to the part where we're players.
Hey, I played on good teams growing up. Don't get me wrong.
No, I know. See this light right here, though, Eric. For me, the Quebec tournament was the first experience of being under the bright lights.
Was it?
Being on the big stage.
Yeah.
It wasn't for you, like.
Oh no, I can't really recall. I mean. We had the Esso Challenge Cup.
Yep.
That was big. That was at North York Centennial Arena. That was a huge tournament. No, it wasn't a National Hockey League arena.
Yep.
But as 11 and 12 and 13-year-olds, it's not like we're filling it, right?
Yeah.
Like we're in the big Colisée, but it's a great big rink. It was fun. It's a blast.
How did you guys do?
We lost my first go, and then we won the second go. John Fuda was our coach the second go, and we won. I was with the Nats, and we won it.
Right on.
Yeah, it was good.
Right on. And did your parents come up, or did you stay with a family there?
They came up for a bit of it, but we were billeted.
You were billeted, so you did do that whole experience.
The whole thing.
Which in a way, Eric, like I mean, that was my first experience, other than like summer camp.
Yeah.
Going away from home. Like, right. I remember, like, the tournament was like, it seemed like it was like 2 weeks long.
It was a long time. It was a long time.
So it was like 2 weeks long.
There was a lot of school missed.
We're living with a family that English is not their first language.
Right.
Like, I remember.
But aren't they nice to host us and bring us in? And
so nice.
And
passionate.
Passionate, but make it to the point where, I mean, without them, we couldn't go.
It wouldn't be possible.
It wouldn't be possible.
People
right?
couldn't afford that.
You know, they would take us to Village du Sport, and I don't know if you went down the hill on, on the interchange and all that stuff.
Buddy, I did.
We had a blast there. We had a blast every time.
Yeah, and then of course, like
a great tournament.
It's a great tournament. Like I'll never forget like Bonhomme, the whole winter carnival thing.
And the song Pee Wee Pee Wee Pee Wee Pee Wee Pee Wee.
To it, Pee Wee vive the Pee Wee Carnaval. Right? It's very cool. It's very cool. I had to ask you about that, buddy, because I could only imagine like seeing like a 12, 13-year-old Eric Lindros, biggest guy on the ice.
No, I wasn't big. I wasn't
Eric,
big.
Come on, man.
I wasn't growing up though.
You weren't.
I
so
wasn't.
At that age, you weren't the biggest on the team.
I grew a lot when I was 14.
Okay, so the growth spurt happened at 14.
I was 14. I grew, I think, 10 or 11 inches when I was 14, and it was a very, very awkward year.
10 or 11 inches.
Yeah, it was a.
That's similar to a Liam McMorrow story.
It was a lot. It was a lot, and then you're like like a baby deer on the ice, right? It's hard to keep things rolling, but anyway.
Absolutely, man. No, but sticking with that. So you almost grew a foot in one season.
I was falling downstairs at school. I was awkward as hell.
And this is grade 9, right? 14 years old.
In around there, yeah.
Okay, right on.
Yeah.
Wow, man. I definitely didn't know that.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to get into the fact that, I mean, you played for the Young Nats and the Marlies when you were in the then MTHL.
Yes.
Okay. What was it like with the politics that are a lot worse now, by the way? And I know that you don't want to talk about the GTHL tonight, obviously. I think that says enough for itself. But with the Nats and the Marlies, I just wanted to know.
There's a lot of good things about the GTHL. There's a lot of good things about the GTHL. And when I played in the MTHL, there were some terrific things then too. I got to play. I had really good coaching, and I think of John Fuda, like I mentioned.
Yes.
I got to play with my Pee Wee team had Mike Torcha as our goalie.
Really?
Drake Barahowski was on that team.
Really?
We had a good, real good team, and I was on the younger side of stuff, but they they didn't hold it against me. I had a lot of fun every time I was around those guys.
With the Marley organization, I know that your brother had a chance to play there as well. One of our sponsors tonight, Cockywear, which is Mr. Daryl Dean, his father was actually your brother's coach for 4 years.
Oh, was he?
On that Marley team.
Oh, yeah.
I apologize, Daryl. I'm not sure the first name of your dad, but it would have been Mr. Dean.
Mr. Dean.
For sure.
All right.
So it's funny how small the hockey world is, and it's pretty cool stuff. Eric, I know that you attended Monarch Park in North Toronto collegiate.
I went to North Toronto.
You went to North Toronto?
Yeah, I didn't go to Monarch Park.
Okay,
yeah.
so the Wikipedia.
You gotta watch Wikipedia.
You gotta watch yourself, because I'm looking at Eric's arm and I don't really want to say anything.
Sheriff. We're all
good. He just put his arm out and fling me through the window.
All good. No. I went John Ross grade 5, 6. I went to Glenview 7 and 8, and then I went to. I started taking summer class, and I went to North Toronto for grade 9 and 10. And my grade 10 year, I played for this gentleman over here at St. Mike's.
Yes.
Scott McClellan.
Yes, and that's what I kind of wanted to get into right now. So.
Oh, in grade 9, he let me come to practice all the time. So I didn't play on the team, but I was allowed to come to practice. I rode my mom's bike over there all the time, and the guys would hang it in the rafters and screw around, fill it full of pucks and the whole bit. But had a great time going to practice and getting extra ice. And then the following year, got to play for him, and we ended up, we had a good team again there. Steve Glugosh, Wes McCauley, the Quad, Kenny Klee was there. We were solid. And we won the Ontario's.
So I mean, it would be fitting. I made sure that I wanted to have at least one surprise guest tonight.
Oh, okay. Did I wreck it?
For a little bit.
Did I wreck
so
it?
let's call the man up, Scott McClellan.
Scott McClellan up here.
He was just brought up. Scott McCollum, ladies and gentlemen. So, Eric, why don't you come in the middle because you're staying? And Scotty, I wanted to ask you that this is a habit that I have. You know, I bring up people, try to make the show a little bit more interesting, right? I mean, I don't know if it's even possible, but I try.
Hang on a second.
Yeah, exactly.
The sheriff is fired up.
Yeah.
Fair enough. That's fair enough. Scotty, what was it like, honestly, coaching a guy like this? He's being humble. What I was told stories that when this guy played for St. Mike's, not only was he the biggest guy on the ice, but he was the fastest guy on the ice, and guys were literally afraid would go nowhere near the corners if he was on the ice.
So you know, it was really amazing that before he joined our team, I actually went and I had a discussion with his parents, and he was 14 years old, about to be a 15-year-old, and you know, our league is a little bit of an older league. It's players that want to go to college and players that are finishing off high school. And back in those days, it was grade 13, right? So
what was the name of the league at that time?
it was called the Metro Junior B
So this is
League.
Metro Junior
and
B.
which is basically the equivalent to the OJ today.
Yes.
So it's the same teams. It's basically the same people. And I remember I sat with his parents, and their biggest concern was, is he going to be a top 6 forward? Is he going to play on your top 6? If not, he can go back and he can play on the midget team, I guess, or the Bantam team. I can't remember what it was back in those days. And I remember I gave them the answer. And in my mind, of course, I knew he was going to be a top 6 player, but I said to them, that's going to be entirely up to him. And I remember Carl sat back and he said, that's a great answer. like I don't know if we expected to leave here with that commitment, but that's a great answer. Yeah. And I said the one thing I will be is honest with him. And if it wasn't long before he was in the top 3 of the league. never mind the top 6.
I believe it.
And I didn't even get through college weekend, so he's blowing a little bit.
Yeah, he didn't get through college weekend.
We
played Belleville. Trenton, and you know, in those days you got into a fight, you got tossed. He destroyed some 18-year-old kid in front of the snack bar at St. Mike's Arena, on the ice in front of the snack bar. So he had a little trouble getting through his first game in our league. But you know what? The amazing thing that he was able to do at such a young age, and this is where you talk about leadership. You know, there was no jealousy on our team, and he set the stage for that. I mean, it's so easy for guys trying to get Division I scholarships, and all of a sudden we got this young 15-year-old who's unbelievable, and yet his teammates embraced him, and he was part of the fabric of that team. And you could just tell not only was he going to be a terrific player, but he was going to be a leader, and that's exactly what he's turned into, and that's who he is today. And you saw that at the age of 15.
Wow, I mean, I could only imagine. And then, so was it similar to how it is now, where there would have been like a central scouting, like draft list, like throughout the year, and then there'd be the update, and so where was he?
No.
Where were you on?
Our team wasn't like that, and no one ever discussed that. And maybe I was just naive, or everyone I think was oblivious to what was going on.
You guys were that tight, like?
Oh, we were sheltered too, because you know, like it's we are the sum of all our parts, kind of thing, right? And that's how it went. So no one really talked about it. And we had 14 guys get scholarships on that team.
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
14?
Yeah, 14. Yeah, 14 guys had scholarships. And again, it was an amazing group of young guys there.
Yeah.
Like when I think back of how everyone took care of each other off the ice, on the ice, the kids that were at the school, they ate lunch with other kids in the school, not teammates. Like it was, we developed a culture and a community there that was really special. It was a real special place.
Yeah, it was good.
So now, while we're on this timeline right here, I gotta ask you, because you were probably a part of like maybe decision making. Did you not play a couple games for the Canadian national team this season?
A little bit.
It says recorded 2 games, Eric. Like
I did.
You were 15 years
I
old.
went out to the East Coast. We were in
So-
Halifax.
Michael Thompson.
So what was the recruitment process for Team Canada to be like, hey,
I don't even know. I don't even know. So I think they would.
We know he's 15, but we want him to play with us.
So they had a scout that worked for them.
Okay.
That his name was Paul Henry, actually.
Okay.
And he became a longtime NHL scout. And he was coming to our rink on Sunday nights on a regular basis. I'm assuming Sunday nights, but could have been other times. And he came and talked to me about it one day.
Okay.
And it's like, yeah, if we're going to lose a couple of guys to that, I have absolutely no problem with that at all. What an opportunity. And I think they left for a weekend. I think you guys went down there for a weekend. Yeah, it was in Halifax or something, Eric. Yeah. I can't remember. And what an experience it was. Yeah, for the two teammates.
Yeah, that must have been the biggest transition to be playing. Like I know with the Buzzers, you're playing against 21-year-olds, but now was this the first time it was grown men that you?
It was grown men, but with the Buzzers, I got a regular shift, and when I went to that tryout, I didn't see the ice a whole lot. So I was coming back to Scott. Coming back to St. Mike's was good. No, it was an interesting thing because these are now pros, and it was a different way of doing things. But the practices were that's their job. That was it, right? That's a different mentality than possibly something that you've seen in Bantam or Midget or whatever. But no, it was a good learning experience and fun to go. And I went with a teammate, and I think we plotted a few between the two of us.
Yeah. What was I just had a couple more questions, Eric, about that. So, was there players there that you were in awe of? Do you remember if there was one guy that you were a fan of?
It was on that. At that time, it was different. It was more of a ground for some of the guys that didn't make the NHL and they wanted to try a different route.
Okay.
I don't recall that. During the Olympic year in 92, then we had Sean Burke and Joey Juneau and a bunch of guys that ended up playing in the NHL. But and some that came, near the just before the start of the Olympic tournament, that Dave Hannon, Kurt Giles, that helped us, get over the hump. But no, it was good. I loved it. When I joined the Olympic team in '92 after Oshawa, I went out and I lived with Sean Burke and his wife, and it was great living out in Calgary.
He's a big man, isn't he, Sean Burke?
And he's funny. He's talented. He plays the guitar. He's a really good guy. And another St. Mike's guy.
St. Mike's guy.
Yeah.
I find Scott because you're up here. I'd kind of like to quickly just tell the story of how this all came about. Obviously, Scott, you're a former guest that has now made his second appearance on the show. You're a former guest of the Sheriff. We were one of the first guests when I came to Bottomline. You're one of the first guests that I had. I appreciate you so much. And I had an opportunity to ref an exhibition game in the summer in Forest Hill. I remember that. Eric, I had no idea that it was your team, right?
Yeah.
So I come to the game. My partner doesn't say anything about it.
Yeah.
We get out there. There's a part, ladies and gentlemen, where referees, what we're supposed to do is we're supposed to go to one bench. Good luck, coach. Good luck, coach. Go to the other bench. Do the same thing. I do the first bench. I go to the second bench. Just so happened to look up this time, and I'm looking at Eric Lindros' face, who was one of my favorite players growing up. So I don't know, I think I said something funny. I'm like, holy shit, or something. I don't know what you said. You kind of knew that, you read the play that I was just a little shocked. And I go to my partner, I'm like, dude, that's Eric, right? That's not Brett, that's Eric. He's like, yeah, bro, that's Eric Lindros. I'm like, holy shit, that's unbelievable, man. And I remember you're a good coach, but the one thing, you lost your voice. Do you remember?
Yeah. Well, That's practice. So when I got into this kind of stuff, I realized I didn't, you obviously don't know everything. And I needed help on figuring out, just seeing the game. And Scott and I skate every Tuesday and Thursday morning together over at North Toronto. And Scott's been through the GTHL a bunch of times. He had wonderful teams at Don Mills. Obviously I knew him from St. Mike's or whatever, and he was kind enough to come out and help our little group out. And
just one question, Eric. Is it true that you guys do a half an hour of drills before the scrimmage in your skates?
No,
That's
not
what Al
half an
Sinclair
hour.
told me.
No, we do. We might do.
See, so that's not true. That's a rumor.
We might do 10 or 12 minutes.
But you guys do like good drills, get you going.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think I would ever last in a Lindros skate because I heard they do drills for half an hour.
Well, listen, they get warmed up. I mean, why do the pros do warm-ups, right? You get your hands going, so you get into it. The passes are on.
This is in the morning.
No one's hurting themselves at this point, right?
That's right.
And you guys do this in the morning, right, Eric?
Yes.
Like before work and
Yes.
right on. Cool. That's awesome. The last thing, Scott, I just wanted to say, you can admit it now because it's so much time after, but did you know that this guy had a shot at having the kind of career that he could have, like when he was with you?
Oh, there was never a question. There was never a question that's what he was going to become.
Yeah.
I don't think that anybody with any sort of hockey savvy, scouting, judging talent, or anything else would have thought anything other than that. And I think even back in those days at St. Mike's, one of the things that we used to have. I mean, in the All-Star game, we had U.S. networks coming up. We had media people there all the time. So there were certain players that you knew were going to be generational players.
Yes.
We were oblivious to all that.
You know what? I'm glad you were. I'm glad you were.
You protected the group, and we were all oblivious to it, and everyone was just we got a job. Let's get the job done.
But it
was a lot. It was a lot simpler than you think.
And maybe that is because I knew what was going to happen, and it was let's take care of the group first because this is going to take care of itself.
Good.
Yeah.
Right on. I mean, that sounds like a hell of a team. I know that you mentioned you guys did win something that year, right?
Everything.
You guys won everything.
We won
That's
everything.
not bad. If it's going to be something, it might as well be everything.
Yeah.
That's unreal. Scott McClellan, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming out, buddy. That's unbelievable. That's nice though, man, that people that we've known for so long will show up to our events and pop up and say
There's a lot of really good people in hockey. Hockey's a wonderful sport. It's just a terrific sport. There's some real, don't get me wrong, there's some real creeps in it. For sure. But there's creeps in everything. But there's people in hockey are a lot. I'm gonna go with 85%, 90%. They want to help out.
Yes, I agree.
There's a real nice feeling, and if you can find a real good group, you stick with it.
I wanted to, and thanks for sharing that, Eric. I wanted to talk about like moving on to like the next year.
Yeah.
Now, you had like when I first read this, it put a smile on my face because when I was younger, the best teams from Detroit were Detroit Little Caesars.
Little Caesars, yeah.
With those ugly orange pants.
They were bad, weren't they?
Right? They were very bad.
There was some colorblind.
Why did they stick with it though? I guess because it was so unique, right?
I guess so.
The Detroit CompuWare ambassadors. Detroit CompuWare.
Yep.
That was like the other incredible program from Michigan, right? So now, when you were waiting for the trade, I'm assuming that was the time.
Well, let's go through that.
Okay,
so
yes, please.
I get drafted, and whatever, and I go into my OHL draft, and Scott didn't really say it, but I was not the most mature 15, 16-year-old you're going to find. I wasn't. I'm not. I wasn't street savvy at all. I was not. I was impressionable for sure. So to move 8-10 hours away did not make sense for myself.
Absolutely.
And I had to come up with a solution of what to do in the meantime. It had nothing to do with people of Sault Ste. Marie. Sault Ste. Marie people are amazing. It's great. It's just, it was a long way from Glencairn Avenue. You know what I mean? So it all worked out. I went down. I played for Rutherford down at CompuWare. I was there for half a year. Went to the World Juniors and ended up getting traded to Oshawa over Christmas time. Yeah. And then started up with Oshawa. So
Oshawa Generals.
Yeah, no.
One thing we have in common.
Yep.
You played for them longer than I did.
The Jennies are good. No, I played a half year there. I played a full year, and then the next year, '91, I played 7 games or something, and then went off to to the Olympic team that we talked about.
To the national
Yeah,
team.
no, the Jennies, and if we could just touch on the Jennies right now.
Of course.
They've got, we got 3 guys at camp, at 3 other guys are up at pro camp. But they're stocked. I mean, if you're looking for entertainment this year, go out and watch an Oshawa Generals game because they are.
Oh, you're talking about this year's team.
Oh, they are loaded. Generals. Roger Hunt has done an amazing job.
Right on. Very nice arena
Rocco's
too now, Eric.
Yes, it's excellent. So
we both played in the old barn.
The very low.
The low ceiling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Civic.
Yeah.
The Civic.
The Civic Center. The old Civic Center. Oshawa Generals, I know that obviously it's a huge part of your career. They're a big part of mine as well. What I wanted to talk about with your experience is there's one season, Eric, that, the season I'm talking about, the 149-point season, the 72-goal season.
Well, you know what? Those seasons only happen because you're playing with good guys.
Everything works out for you.
It works out. You got to have, you got to have good defense that move the puck. You got to have terrific wingers to play with. You got to have depth. If you don't have a second line or a third line that they're nervous about, then all the attention's going to be on you, and you got to get through it. So, listen, if they, it got to the point where teams, if you want to go head to head and power against power, let's go play.
Yep.
But if you want to stick and you want to put your checking line on there, and then we can allow our second and third lines to go do their thing, it's, it's a little bit, it's different. But it only works when it's like a batting order in baseball.
Yeah.
Having depth is great. And then you got great coaching. Larry Marson would stay on the ice with me after practice.
So Larry Marson was there?
Yeah, I had Lair Bear.
Wow.
Yeah, I used to go to his school, his hockey school all the time. He was the best power skating coach.
Did he have cool earrings and stuff back then too?
No.
Not yet?
No.
Okay.
No, are you talking about his brother, or are you talking about Lair Bear?
I'm talking about Lair Bear, man.
I didn't notice you didn't have him around Oshawa.
Okay.
The earrings.
No, he's got a left side, just like me, buddy. Right now he does. Yeah.
So Lair Bear would stay out. He'd stay out there with me and hit one-timers, and a bunch of the other guys would be out there as well. And Oshawa's a good spot. I don't know, about in junior hockey and the budgets and things like that, but we'd be ripping through sticks.
Yeah.
And it was not an issue. It was never an issue keeping going, and no, it was Lair Bear would stay out there as long as we wanted to. So
I made a little error. It wasn't 72 goals. It was 71.
Okay.
But it was the 149 points. 189 PIMs. You almost hit 200 PIMs that year as well. But what I really found impressive that I have to ask you about was the playoff run that year.
Yeah.
We got 18 goals in 16 games. Do you mind talking about?
Yeah, but I'm playing with guys like Ian Fraser and Brent Grieve, and I am Mike Craig. We had a really good team. Really good team. We had J.P. Davis on the point, Paul Hagen. It was Craig Donaldson. We were just really good.
Really good.
Really good.
Well, you guys did very well.
Yeah, we're good.
Now, how that year though, Eric? How far did you guys make it that season?
So when I first got traded, we went to we beat Kitchener in the OHL championship.
Yep.
And went 7.
Yep.
And then we went to the Memorial Cup.
Yep.
And ended up seeing Kitchener again.
Yes.
So I haven't even talked about our goaltending there. We had Freddie Brathwaite.
You guys had Freddie?
Freddie were there. So Freddie hadn't played a game.
Shout out to Freddie Brathwaite, by the way.
Freddie hadn't played a game in about 2.5 months over the playoff. He might have got 1 or 2 little bits in there. And he came in. There's an injury, and he stood on his head for the remainder of the third period and all the way into overtime. And then went a couple of overtimes. And Bill Armstrong, he says he shot it. I question this, but it went in, and we were crowned. That was it.
That was it, man. That's unbelievable. That was they say it's the hardest trophy, man.
Well, we had a good. Again, it's you get enough good people around and things that happen. I'm not talking about the players. I'm talking about guys that had our back. We had a wonderful general manager. We just had really good people around.
So Eric, and I appreciate you sharing that, because there's so much stuff. I'm gonna jump to a time that I was a really big fan of yours, bro. And let's talk about the Legion of Doom, man.
Yeah.
let's talk about the Legion of Doom.
Yeah.
So, like, John LeClaire and Mikael Renberg, those two guys, like, you guys are considered one of the best lines in the history of the game.
Well, that's
right?
kind of you to say, but
No, but Eric, I'm telling you, man, you guys are. So, like, how well did you guys get along?
we got along great. We still get along great. I mean, Johnny comes up and helps me out with my Easter Seal stuff. Doesn't never says no. Like he's always available. He's always helping out. Michael Renberg would fly. He'll fly in every 2-3 years to help us out.
Where's he from?
Stockholm. He went back to school and went into physiotherapy.
Back home?
Back home. So he's Michael Renberg is a
He's a Swedish
physiotherapist, and all the hockey guys are going to his clinic. He's amazing, and not just like a smart guy, but just a nice, caring person that had ethics. Same as Johnny. Johnny will call out if he sees bullshit. That's bullshit, you know. And we got it. There was no gray area. There was no. You know some of the guys that you play with that there's a lot of gray area, and you just never with Johnny, never with Rennie, we remain great friends.
So I mean, I've seen so many interviews and like video clips where guys would be asked about playing against your line. Okay, guys would have like nightmares the night before.
I don't know about nightmares.
Eric,
the way the rules were. We were three big bodies.
Yeah.
And like Rennie's legs are tree stumps.
Are they?
Yeah.
Sorry, bud.
No, he's all good. And Johnny's no slouch. Like he is a very, very strong human being. And we just, you know what? We loved going to practice together. So when we got to practice, we would just push the pace and challenge. It just got higher and higher and higher, and things just started clicking. And before you knew it, then. You know, we're having success, and it was just kept going. It was good. It was a lot of fun.
Would you say those guys you got along with the best out of all the guys that you played with? Like, the line was really hyped.
The line was good. We were good. Johnny's a very loyal. Johnny's just an excellent guy, and having Michael traded to Tampa Bay with the Chris Gratton thing, and this is nothing against Chris or anything, but it was very. You know, it was tough to lose. You know, your buddy, your winger.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, you got your guys, and you want them to be with your guys. So,
because you just mentioned it, let's talk a little bit about Easter Seals. Like you mentioned.
Sure.
Yeah, let's do that, buddy.
So we've been running an Easter Seals tournament for 12 years, and we've moved it over to Scotia Pond the last little bit. And we raise money through a hockey tournament. We have a draft night. We bring in a bunch of former players. We got, I think this year we got Chelios coming in. We've had Ray Bork, Wendell, Doug Gilmore, Johnny, of course, comes all the time. We got piles of guys that come and help, and we raise I think we're over $6 million, and 80% gets to charity. So it's for a great cause, and it's a lot of fun.
Wow, yeah, we got it. Definitely. So now, how long have you been involved, though? Like, Eric,
12 years. So we
started. It's been 12 years.
You probably know about all these tournaments now that they have the draft night, and that we were the first. Like, we were the Jackson Events runs the tournament, and we were the guinea pig out in Oshawa. Our first year we were in Oshawa, and we were very conscious of dollars spent, and anybody that needed to be put up was at the La Quinta, and we ran it. We ran it nicely. So we had a great time. Everyone had a wonderful time. We only raised $87,000 the first year, and now we're doing, $600, $800 depending on the year. So
that's amazing, buddy. I mean, it puts a smile on my face, Eric, when I see people that do have influence doing things for the better good. Yeah. So thank you, buddy. Like that's all good. It sets such a good example for everyone else to do it as well. So thank you. While we're on this topic, Eric, like we did have a lot of support for the show. And I just wanted to mention some of our sponsors.
Sure.
I wanted to start off with Apex Elite Training, which is run by my buddy, Mr. Dr. Zachariah. And, Zach's been a supporter since day one. He is a huge sponsor for tonight. He's in support of anything for the better good, and I want to give a big shout out to them. Cockyware, who's also in the building, guys. Confidence is everything. I'm wearing Cockyware almost every day. Probably one of the best sports apparel places or lines that I could even think of. We got Modern Mafia. Modern Mafia ran my buddy Matthew Lund. He's been a supporter for multiple shows, including tonight. So I want to thank Modern Mafia for being a part of the show. Joseph Tucci Real Estate, guys. If you need a real estate agent, man, call Joseph Tucci. And we also got the Roseway River Cottages guys that came in last minute. I really appreciate that. It's my buddy Daniel Kahn that lives in the Maritimes. So I appreciate all the sponsorship and anyone else that has supported the show. Thank you very much, including, of course, our venue, Bottomline. So I think Eric just went to go get a drink. So I kind of wanted, while we have a minute here, guys, I wanted to kind of tell the story of that I was saying of how this was all able to come about. Being able to ref a game at Forest Hill Arena with my buddy and former guest, Mr. Scott McClellan, that was actually the manager of Eric Lindros' team. When the game finished, one of the first things I did was I ran up to Scott and I said, Scott, man, like I know it might sound a little petty, I know it might sound a little corny, but man, do you mind if I meet Eric Lindros? Like, can I take a picture with the guy? Like, I'm still a big fan. You see the smile on my face because it really was like that. I was starstruck when I met him. So Scott's kind of like, yeah, for sure, come. And so I think Scott went into the room and tried to make me feel a little bit special and told Eric, when you go outside, call him the sheriff. He'll get a kick out of that. So this guy comes out of the dressing room with a big smile on his face. I'm just talking about the story of when I first met you at Forest Hill.
Forest Hill, yeah.
Comes out with a big smile on his face, just like now, and he's like, "Hey, Sheriff, how you doing?" I couldn't get over it, man. It was I'll never forget it. But yeah, I just thought I'd tell that story. I was able to get those sponsors out of the way. There was just
let me ask. Let's turn this up. How many years have you been doing this?
This is our second year at Bottomline.
Yeah.
And after almost a year of doing this is when we started at Bottomline. So just under 3 years.
That's amazing.
Probably about 2.5 years there.
That's great, and it's been going well.
It's been going well, man, and you know what? It's going really well right now because I have the opportunity to bring one of my heroes on the show.
You can tell that you clearly enjoy doing it. You're good at it too. I've been on some situations where it's like you're organized and on it. So this is hats off to the show.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you. So, hey, it's always good to get a compliment from an icon. So, I wanted to talk about 1994 and 1995, Eric.
Okay.
You know what I mean? The Hart Trophy year, the MVP of the NHL. I always, when people say to me it's nothing in comparison, but they ask me about my best years that I've had, and my response is usually, you know what? Everything worked out that year. I didn't get hurt. I had a lot of really awesome people supporting me.
Yeah.
I had great teammates.
Yeah.
This, that, the other. What was it like for you that year, buddy?
Everything was going. Everything was going smooth. I got hurt. My eye had an eye injury, and I missed the last 2 games. I missed the last 2 games and ended up tying Yags and points or whatever.
Okay. So you almost won the Art Ross.
And then I missed the first 3 games, 2 or 3 games of playoffs.
Okay.
But no, everything was clicking. We had a good team. That was the year that we traded for Johnny. We got Eric Desjardins in there. Gilbert Dion came. There were some real solid moves. That was the move and shake year.
So I have a smile on my face because this is when I was the biggest fan. The next season, that was when you guys were Eastern Conference champions. Okay. 1990. Oh, sorry. 2 seasons later. 96, 97. 96, 97.
Yeah.
You guys were Eastern Conference champions.
Yeah.
Now, you guys took out the Pittsburgh Penguins in round 1.
Yeah.
You took out my Buffalo Sabres. Was Dominic Hasek the goalie? Was the Dominator the goalie that year? Come on, Eric.
I think so.
He's the best goalie of all time.
He was hard.
Right.
We played Buffalo
The best
all the
goalie
time.
of all time, Dominic Hasek.
He's
Head and shoulders above the rest.
He's a wild one. He's a wild one. You should get him on there.
And the New York Rangers, all in 5 games. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So now...
And then we had to go meet the Big Red Storm.
I know, man.
Yeah.
I know. One of my questions, though, is your goaltending that year. Ronnie Hextall and Gar Snow. Right?
Right?
How did Hextall... didn't Hextall... Like he was involved in the trade, wasn't he? Like you guys.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So you guys acquired Hextall back?
He came back.
Okay.
Yes, we signed. I think we got him from the Islanders.
Okay, so
So we had a good veteran presence in net, and that's how he was.
How tough was he though? They say he's the toughest goalie ever. Like, was he
He's
really that
intense.
tough, or was he just willing to?
Like, what is toughness?
I don't know. Like you're tough. I think I'm tough.
Well, like, he's willing.
He's willing.
He's willing.
He's willing, and he's okay. Right on. Perfect answer. Just like your dad said to Scott.
He's not. You're not going to see him in the weight room a whole lot.
No,
but he's willing.
He's old school too.
Yeah.
I've seen him beat up a couple players, so I thought I would.
Yeah, no, he's and technique's got a lot to do with it too, and he's feisty, that's for sure.
Just a couple more things, Eric. I wanted to talk about the experience of playing in your hometown. I know it was later in your career.
Toronto here. Yeah. No.
I know it was later in your career, but you still put up really good numbers.
Well,
it was 22 points in 33 games. Like that's in today's NHL, that would be a second liner.
I grew up in around Toronto, right? Even you grew up in London. You see the Toronto Maple Leafs on the TV all the time. I remember when I was 18 meeting with Stavro in his house and speaking to him. And I've always had, there's something about hometown. It's your team, right? It's part of one of your teams or whatever. Now going to Philly, Philly's my team. There's no question about it. But growing up, it was Toronto. So to have a chance to come back, that was good. I just wish it would have happened a little bit earlier and if I was healthier, right?
Yeah. And so that was a dream of yours, though, to play for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, because it's an amazing place to play. You wake up in the morning, and I don't know if you remember that diner, the Canary.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you go to the Canary before you head out to Lakeshore and go to practice, and you roll in there, and everybody in that diner, for the most part, knows if you had a great game the night before or if you were just flat out shit, right? Like there's accountability to this.
Yes.
And this town has you go and you do your work and you play hard and they will take care of you. I don't know why people don't want to enjoy this. Going and hiding. I'm sure Nashville's a great place. I'm sure Anaheim's a great place.
Yeah, you're not a big fan of these guys playing down there, right?
Well, no, it's not. I'm not a big fan of it. I'm just saying I don't want to hear that. There's too much pressure in Toronto. No, your job's to go out and do your job, right? So,
absolutely.
And just because I remember playing in Montreal. Playing in Montreal is, this is early on, and I had scored a goal. How did this work? I had scored a goal, had an assist, but both of them were on the power play.
Yep.
And the guy's yipping me we're beating them 5-3, and this guy's yipping me in the stands, and because he knows that I'm -1.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's a fan.
Yeah.
That's there's intelligent
big time.
fans all over the place, and I just I'm turning around I have no rebuttal to the truth, right? It's just a fan that knows exactly what's up, and that to me is what's so much fun about playing in areas that the people really truly know the game.
Markets,
hockey markets, yes.
Big hockey markets. Anyway, no, I know. I hear exactly what you're saying, Eric. Just quickly, because it's such a big deal. 2016, getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. What was that like, buddy?
Well,
was that the biggest compliment?
It's amazing. Well, it's not just, it's a compliment, personally, but it's also the realization, and I shouldn't say the realization because I always knew it, but it's the opportunity that you have on a grand stage to thank everybody that has helped you along the way. Because if you think you're going to go and do anything in this world athletically, or maybe anything in general, you're going to need a lot of help. You're going to need tons of people looking out for you, having your back, wonderful teammates, good trainers, great coaches.
Mums that are registered nurses.
Mums that are registered nurses. Where's your mom? There she is over there. Yeah, there.
Shout out to Sheila McConnell. In the crowd.
You need moms. Yeah, you know, there's a lot of sacrifice. I'm sure that my parents they'd rather be doing something else than hanging out at Chesswood on a Sunday morning at 7 o'clock, right?
Where would you rather, remember the old saying, but where would you rather be?
Yeah, right. So, yeah. Anyway, they're getting a coffee at the Penalty. Remember the restaurant in there? I think it was called the Penalty Box. I don't know if it still is. Is it still there?
Yeah, you've been in there recently.
I haven't been in that.
You haven't been in
the restaurant. Not in the restaurant.
Okay. Oh, it's good that you stay out of there.
No, we use the side door. We're up near the.
Oh, I hear you. Oh, I could. Okay, so I mean that's another thing.
3 and 4, yeah.
When you're around the arenas now, like. It is like you kind of have to be a little bit low key, eh? But just because of how big of a hockey market Toronto is, like everybody knows who Eric Lindros is.
People are very nice.
Yes.
People are curious, and if they, questions are questions. Everyone, whatever.
Everybody that I've talked to.
If you don't want to be, if that bothers you,
yes,
then don't go to the rink.
There you go. Hey, there you go. Everybody that I've talked to, Eric, it's nice to hear this sometimes, right? Everybody that I've talked to that has been part of any type of journey with your kids' teams, playing against you, playing with you, everybody says the same thing. That guy is so nice. I would see him, tying up skates, helping this, doing that. Like, I think it's incredible how down to earth you are, buddy, and how humble you are. And I appreciate guys like you because it shows what people are really supposed to act like, even though they might have had incredible success in their careers and lives, right? So thank you for being that way, Eric. You know what I mean? I got to clap for that. So one of the last things, number 88 being retired in Philly, buddy.
Yeah.
That's really cool, man.
That's fun.
You're saying that was a fun night that night?
It was awesome. Yes, it was. We went to the equivalent of the Bottomline, and
yeah, Toronto's classiest sports bar. On the day of your retirement, you donated $5 million, buddy, to the London Health Science Center, which is one of the biggest donations by a sports icon in North America.
Well, I got a lot of help out of London. Dr. Fowler was fantastic to me, patched me up, helped me along the way, had great insight, and it felt like the right thing to do.
Hey, I think I've gotten, but what I'm thinking about though, Eric, is I've gotten about 10 to 15 warnings of we're over the limit, and I've been ignoring them for 15 minutes.
We don't have curfew.
I'm like, you know what? I got Eric Lindros on here, and
we don't have curfew. We're good.
Yeah, we're good, man. So just I'm all done with this. Just in general, Eric. One of the things I wanted to ask you is I had just heard today that you have twins.
I do.
Okay.
Ryan and Sophie.
Okay, so.
And then my older guy, Carl.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now, these twins.
Yeah.
One of them's your daughter, one of them's your son.
Yeah.
The daughter, does she play AAA?
She does.
That's unbelievable, man.
Yeah.
So do they play on the same team?
Yeah. Because I'm not driving to 3 different rinks.
No. So.
And she's deserving of her spot. She's a really good player. She's an excellent skater. So she's good. She's good. I don't know how long that she stays in that situation. Leaside Women's Hockey is a great organization. But I mean, women's hockey is really taken off. The problem that I think we're seeing is that there isn't enough arenas.
Okay.
There's not enough ice available.
And the girls get the stiff end of that, though.
They do.
Right? And
they do.
They have curfews for girls, but they don't have for guys, I heard.
I don't know about that.
There's curfews. There's curfews for their games. Like if they go over the limit, they kick them off.
They kick them off.
If there's someone on,
We got to take care of the rinks that we have. you know, we really got to start looking at, we're going to lose our rinks. And how we take care of them right now, and how we refurbish them, and what energies we put into that, and where do we get, you know, if it's not worth it, let's put up something new. We need hockey. Hockey's I think it's the best game in the world. Sure, there's other games and other sports and things that we can you know, encourage, but to me, we must take care of number one, and Canada's about hockey.
Yeah, I agree with that. Canada's the hockey nation, like I've said a bunch of times, and you know, it's part of our history. You know, I don't know if you had the opportunity to see films like Black Ice. Have you had that opportunity to watch stuff like that?
No.
I suggest that you do. It's just about the history about in the Maritimes and in Nova Scotia, those leagues that were around kind of before the NHL. My family's pretty good friends with the Carnegies. So Bernice Carnegie, who was able to get her father, Herb Carnegie, into the Hall of Fame, like yourself.
Yeah,
so he's a fellow Hall of Famer with you. So I thought I'd mention that too. But I mean, Eric, this has been an absolute honor for me. Like I said, buddy, just to clarify, so this is not an Eric Lindros jersey.
No,
this is my Don Mills Flyers McMorrow jersey, buddy. But I was like, you know what? I'm bringing it. I'm bringing it because people will probably think it's a Lindros jersey, especially with the C, right?
That's
you know, that's the reason for that. But you know, Eric, if you ever want to come back, just let me know.
You got it.
You're always welcome, buddy.
That's great.
I really appreciate you coming, and you know what? I'm just beating around the bush now because I don't want to let you go, but I want to thank the viewers and audience.
Yeah, we got a great group here.
Tuning in to another episode of The Sheriff, and we'll see you next time, guys.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
It's The Sheriff Podcast, baby.